Hello, Squishies! I am Andrew, and welcome to another Squishy Shorts. This time, we are looking at Escape from Monkey Island. The world of video games was changing. The trend towards 3D games, whether suitable or not, was in full swing. Having almost absolutely nailed a 3D adventure with Grim Fandango 2 years before, it was time to see if lightning could strike twice, and if there was still a market for adventure games. Escape from Monkey Island is an adventure game developed by LucasArts and released in 2000 for PC, Mac, and PlayStation 2. Let's find out what Escape from Monkey Island is all about, shall we? Here's the official description. Spitting the sand of Monkey Island from my mouth, I wondered if the life of a mighty pirate was all it had cracked up to be. I'd ignored recent events that should have been warning shots across the bow of my soul, from my wife's brush with death to the anti-pirate ramblings of an Australian gazillionaire. If only I'd chosen a different path, LeChuck might still be dead and the ultimate insult might have remained a mystery. If I'd never picked up a sword, the grog-swilling pirates of the Tri-Island area might be unthreatened by the forces of gentrification and demonic heckfire. If only... Suddenly the hairy finger of a familiar monkey tapped me on the shoulder. It was time. Time for the biggest battle of my swashbuckling life. I think on reflection of the series, Escape may be my least favourite Monkey Island game. The story this time sees Guybrush and Elaine return from their honeymoon to find that Elaine has been declared dead. Guybrush must initially find the legal documents to prove she's alive and save her mansion. But as the story escalates, it is discovered that LeChuck is after something called the ultimate insult, and Guybrush must find it first to stop him. All set against the backdrop of an Australian businessman trying to commercialise the Caribbean. Like Grim Fandango before it, the game is 3D characters against pre-rendered backgrounds. Guybrush is directly controlled, and like the worst aspect of Grim, he is operated with tank controls, either based on camera or on Guybrush. Both are bad when the camera angle changes. Guybrush will look at objects in the world that are interactable, and you see a list of things that can be interacted with. On PC, you use page up or page down to select the object, then press P on the keyboard to pick up, or U to use. This system worked okay in Grim Fandango, but even in the earlier stages of Escape, there are times when a few things are bunched together. So you go on what text is written at the bottom rather than the game making it clear otherwise what you can interact with, which feels less organic and a step back from how the 3D world was presented in Grim Fandango. This system does not feel easier than, or more intuitive than, a point-and-click interface. Even the inventory is just a bunch of floating icons rather than the chess graphic of the third game, or even everything being in Manny's code from Grim Fandango. The game tries to translate the 2D cartoon style of the previous game into 3D, and I'm not sure that it works. I hate to keep comparing it to Grim Fandango, but they are so similar and by the same company that it's easy to do. Even though Grim Fandango came out 2 years before, because it had its own distinct style, it still holds up incredibly well today. While in comparison, I think Escape from Monkey Island looks a bit cheap and bland. The game starts on Melee Island, not seen since the first game, yet it somehow looks worse. You can visit many of the same locations, but the island doesn't feel the same. This issue is only exacerbated as the islands become commercialized with parody tourist businesses, which is another issue I have with the game in general. The previous games, whilst being funny and featuring occasional pop culture references, never felt like parodies of either pirates or the present world. I think this game of all the games in this series misses the mark on hitting that quintessential Monkey Island style. I also think the Guybrush is a peak awful adventure game character. He seems more snarky than ever. Voice acting and music continue to be a highlight of the series, although this is the only game in the series not to feature Alexandra Boyd as Elaine. Never seen a reason why she wasn't asked back for this game, but all 5 of the other games feature her. The puzzles for me were a mixed bag. This may be a result of the frustrating controls where trying to guess puzzle solutions comes after trying to guess what the game wants you to interact with. Insult sword fighting is replaced by insult arm wrestling, and the end of the game features a sequence of monkey combat, that's with a K, a fighting game. Overall, I think this is a game that's probably aged worst out of the series. Despite what I have said, the game isn't terrible for an adventure game, but I think it is for a Monkey Island game. It's my love of the series that makes me extra harsh on it. If you're going to play through the full series, I would still recommend this for completion's sake. There are genuinely lovely moments in it. I have not played the PS2 version of the game, though I do own a copy. By the year 2000, the adventure game market that had dominated the late 80s and the early 90s was on the decline. Doom had changed the landscape, and it was deemed that the market wanted action and shooting, not pointing and clicking. Escape from Monkey Island ended up being the last adventure game that LucasArts would make. A sequel to Full Throttle was cancelled at the end of 2000. A second attempt at a Full Throttle sequel was cancelled in 2002. A sequel to Sam & Max Hit the Road was cancelled in 2004 and marked the end of an era. Following the cancel of these projects, many of the development team moved on to other companies, some forming the company Telltale Games. we would have to wait until 2009 to see what they would bring to the table. Have you played Escape from Monkey Island? Do you have a favourite part of the game, and is it the duck? Let us know in the comments, we'd love to hear your thoughts. And, as always, this has been a pleasure, and we look forward to seeing you on the next one. Bye!
Excuse me.
What?